Hi everyone, my name is Sanskriti. We have here today Amit Bhattacharya, who is a batchmate of mine from National Law University, Odisha, and currently studying at IIM Shillong. So today he will be taking a webinar on benefits of a MBA degree after doing law. Now I'm sure when this topic comes into the picture, we all have our questions about how is it going to work out? Is it really worth it? And a lot of people are interested to know about how does a MBA degree helps after law, because these two are quite different domains. But as the scenario is changing, as the time is changing, we all are realizing law is going in different domains. So today Amit will be dealing with how what are the benefits, why should you do it, and how can you go about it. And correct me, Amit, if I'm wrong. So over to you, Amit. You can start. Floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Sanskriti, for that kind introduction. Let me just share my screen.
Sure.
Just tell me once it's visible.
Yeah, yeah, sure. It's visible, Amit.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. As Sanskriti already introduced me, I'm Amit Kumar Bhattacharya. I'm MBA candidate 2019-21 from IIM Shillong. Prior to that, I completed my BLLB honors from National Law University, Odisha. Uh, Before I embark on this webinar, let me just give a brief introduction of myself. After my graduation, I worked as a litigation associate with Munish Panda and Associates. And during the 2 years that I spent there, I handled almost 30 plus matters in corporate commercial disputes. My special focus was on the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, which had just come out. My most memorable case would be JSW's acquisition of Bhushan Power and Steel through corporate insolvency resolution process. I represented as an advocate on record a consortium of 200 operational creditors. In 2018, as they say, I belt the cat and I received calls from 12 IIMs. I converted and joined IIM Shillong as an MBA candidate. During my stint as an MBA candidate, I was selected to represent IIM Shillong in a 3-week study abroad program in ISEC School of Management, which is in Paris. My summer internship was with Goldman Sachs within their global markets division. Uh, Apart from this, I also have an active interest in music. I play the flute and the guitar in my spare time. Now, through the course of this webinar, I'll be primarily taking all of you through three main heads. One would be, why should you pursue MBA after law? Specifically, what are the benefits? Second would be the career options, the various openings that become available to an MBA and a law grad post completion of the MBA. And lastly, I'll be sharing with you my preparation strategy, and I'll also be happy to take any queries that you might have. So let's talk about why MBA after law. So this is a question that pops up many a times during personal interviews and also during our job interviews. Like, law itself is a very comprehensive and exhaustive degree. So why would anyone bother going for an MBA after that? My typical answer to that is, I personally wanted to understand the business perspective, because given my work experience in the corporate commercial dispute sector, uh, I wanted to understand how businesses functions, and to be very frank, I wanted to transition from a business facilitator to a decision maker. I'll get into more about that in the coming slides. MBA is for anyone who is an agile individual. So if you're someone who does not want to do the same thing for the rest of your life, who wants to constantly innovate, and suppose you want to do brand management for the next 2 years, after that you want to shift to finance, or you want to go into consultancy advisory, then MBA is actually a very good fit for you, for the simple reason MBA gives you a very diverse set of skills. I'll again come more into that as I progress through this presentation of mine. Thirdly, MBA lets you enter a work environment which has the sharpest minds in the country. I don't think this is up for debate. CAT is one of the toughest exams in the country, and the people who actually crack it, and the 3,000 odd individuals who make it to the top IIMs, they are one of the sharpest minds in the country. So working alongside them, it constantly lets you challenge yourselves and let you grow. Last and not the least, obviously it gives you financial growth and stability. However, I would like to think of it as a byproduct rather than a motivation for pursuing MBA. Now, there are also things which should deter you from pursuing an MBA, especially people with a law background. If if you have a special affinity towards litigation, so if you if you like arguing in a courtroom, if you can't imagine your life outside of the courtroom, then definitely boardrooms cannot be the thrill that you derive in the courtrooms, because that is something which you really vibe with. Also, if you feel that the corporate culture is not for you, because MBA is all about teamwork, collaborations, and working in large teams. It's less of you and more of a we. So if that's not something you're very comfortable with, I would suggest you don't go for an MBA. Now, as promised, I would like to take a moment to explain the difference between legal and business perspective. Now, I already told you that I wanted to understand the business process more, and I wanted to transition from a business facilitator to a business decision maker. In order to understand that, let me give you a live case example. Of course, I cannot disclose the name of all the entities involved. So XYZ Carriers Limited, it's a medium-sized courier service based out of Noida. It serves a clientele of approximately 150 businesses around the NCR. In 2018, XYZ approaches you, an advocate, to represent it before the NCLT, the National Companies Law Tribunal, in 60 different lawsuits under Section 9 of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code against various logistic partners who are suing XYZ as operational creditors. Now, those of you who are a bit familiar with the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, you know that there are two kinds of creditors: the financial creditors and operational creditors. Creditors who do not directly contribute to the corpus of the business, they are called the operational creditors in layman terms. Now, what does the client want? XYZ wants you to delay each and every of those 60 lawsuits by 90 days, after which it claims that it shall settle everything within the operational creditors, with the operational creditors. Now, as a lawyer, you try to reason with the client, saying that IBC allows only a period of 14 days within which adjudicating authority is bound to either admit or reject the application of the operational creditor. You also explain that once the CIRP is appointed, a promoter is debarred from participating in the process under Section 29A. Now, the question is, what do you do? Now, before going into the analysis, I would just like to clarify 2 points. Firstly, the time period mentioned is 2018. So at that point of time, the threshold limit for instituting an application under IBC was 1 lakh rather than the 1 crore, which is prevalent today. Secondly, the large volume of matters, they are not formed as part of any consortium. So all these matters were individual. So there was no chance to defend these matters at one go. So all of the payment dates were scattered across a particular time frame. Now, let's look at the legal perspective. So as a lawyer, the most obvious thing that one can do is ask the client if he or she can actually pay up. And failing that, you are at the liberty to oppose the Section 9 application. You can also negotiate a settlement with the operational creditors, convince them to take a haircut. Last but not the least, you can seek an extension from the tribunal. But the question remains, what if all of these fail? What do you do then? You basically go to the business, who is your client, and you tell them, sir, we tried convincing the tribunal. These are the legalities that are involved. Now the tribunal has ordered a CIRP to be appointed in this case. And the client will be like, I came to you looking for a solution. What you are giving me is actually another problem. So now what you're telling me is that I am shut out of my own business and I cannot even bid for it because of a particular technicality. Right? So essentially, instead of solving a problem, what you're doing is you are giving them another problem to solve.
Right.
Now, if we go to the business perspective of this, the first thing that I would ask the business is, boss, why do you want me to delay it by 90 days? What is your exact problem? Do you not have funds? Or do you not want to make the payment? Have you not got the services? What is the problem? Why can you not pay? So in that case, the typical answer that I got was because all my clients, they make a quarterly payment as per agreements. So basically, this courier service was availing the help of logistical service providers, and they had agreements with them that every 3 months they will receive the payments. It was more of a subscription model.
Okay.
So payments would usually come in during April, June, September, and December. And these lawsuits, they came in somewhere between them. So the next question that I would ask is, what agreement do you have with the logistic service providers? Why can you not pay them? Do you not have a similar agreement with them that you will pay them every 3 months? So they tell me that there is no formal agreement since the sector is mostly dominated by unorganized players. They provide the bills and we make payments accordingly. So it's mostly a verbal agreement that we are operating on.
Okay.
So I instantly identify the problem that the cash flow cycle is not in sync. So the money that is supposed to come in from the clients is not coming in as frequently as the money is supposed to go out.
Actually, it's supposed to be.
Right?
Yeah.
So now if you see, I have quoted this person. I was recently watching Scam 1992 and this particular quote actually drew my attention that भरोसा किसी भी धंधे में किसी भी legality से बड़ा होता है. And this is the reality of all businesses for that matter. Like verbal commitments hold more to the businesses rather than any legal agreement or paper agreements. So now as a business consultant, I would probably take a step back and bifurcate this problem into two problems. One would be I need to solve this cash crunch in the short term.
Yeah.
And in the long term, I need to make sure that this thing does not happen again. How do I do that? So in the short term, the legal thing I cannot bypass because the tribunal will not grant me an extension. 14 days over, CIRP will be appointed, committee of creditors will take charge. Okay. And once committee of creditor takes charge, you are shut out from your own company. It's the CIRP who decides everything in consultation with the committee of creditors. So it's very essential that you pay off the operational creditors, every penny and dime. So what do? You avail a short-term loan from the bank. You mortgage your assets and everything, and you avail a short-term loan.
Okay.
And the beautiful thing is bank loans require 90 days of non-prepayment to be classified as NPAs.
Yeah.
So before 90 days, they might send you a notice or two saying that you are supposed to pay the EMI or something, but they won't take any legal action against you.
Okay.
And as per your business model, your money will come in every quarter. So within 90 days, one installment of payment will come in from your clients. Okay. With that, you can make certain payments to the bank.
All right.
So basically, you pay off your operational creditors with the money that you secured from the bank, and with the client's payments, you pay off the bank. Now, in the long, this is a very short-term solution. This is like a band-aid. This cannot be a long-term medicine.
Okay.
The long-term medicine would be you make changes in the business model itself. Now, how do you do that? You draft the future contracts by syncing the cash flows. So you talk to the logistic service providers and you tell them that, see, I have an agreement with my existing clients and they are ready to make payments every 3 months. So once a chunk of payment comes in, then only I can pay you. And you only deal with the logistic service providers who are comfortable with this system. Okay. Now, what this achieves? This achieves two things. One, you factored in the regulatory requirements of the insolvency and bankruptcy codes within your business model. So effectively, you prevented any disputes regarding the IBC from arising, at least on this front. Because now you know you are only dealing with trusted people. And you have an agreement with them that 3 months money will come in, 3 months I will pay you. So you cannot hold me liable later that I did not mention it to you or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Secondly, you are lowering your risk exposure. Risk exposure. Yes. Okay. Now imagine yourself in this scenario. As a lawyer, if you are only providing the solution which is on the left, that you are asking if they can pay up, you're opposing the application, you seek an extension of the tribunal, and once the order is passed, you just tell them, okay, boss, now the matter has gone sub judice, it's under within the committee of creditors. This is all we can do at the moment.
Okay.
And secondly, you actually get down with the clients, you analyze the situation, and instead of giving them a completely legal solution, you give them a solution which is viable and which is actually translating into profits for them.
Can be implemented enough, reasonable enough to be implemented.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, business exists for the purpose of generating profits.
Generating profits.
That is the hard truth. Now, and until and unless you can contribute to that, you are not useful to the business. So as a lawyer, if you have this sort of perspective to any problem that is coming up, you become more valuable to your clients. And that is exactly what MBA does. That is exactly what MBA gives to you.
Get you that perspective.
Exactly. You understand the inner workings of the business, and then you can actually create a hybrid strategy comprising of legal as well as business, and provide them with a more wholesome solution.
It's a way to develop your business intellect, to channelize your knowledge into
absolutely. So, as I promised earlier, I would be talking briefly about the various roles which are open to law grads after they complete MBA. Okay. Now, there are broadly 7 domains and roles which are available to MBAs. Okay. I have bifurcated them. Now, before I go on about this is completely my opinion. Okay. And everyone who is taking this should take it with a pinch of salt, because this is from what I have gathered from my experience.
Obviously,
this is so this is not something which is industry standard, or this is not something that recruiters can be held liable to.
Something you have nurtured of your own understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what I have faced, and this is completely my experience. So the broad categories, which you see the green smiley on top of this, which basically indicates that these 4 domains, as I would like to call them, are more in synergy with a law degree.
Okay.
Why? What are these 4 domains? Let us understand.
All right.
First is finance, second is consulting, third is general management, and fourth is human resources.
Okay.
So finance, basically the job of a finance professional would be to manage the finances of a company. As simple as that.
All right.
Now the roles that are there, they become more complex as we explore them. So there are roles like investment banking, research analysts, hedge fund managers, CFOs in companies, financial consultants. Now, what do they do? Investment bankers, as it's one of the most glamorous professions of MBA, as people like to call it. They essentially, link buyers and sellers who are looking to, raise funds. Basically, institutions who are looking to raise funds in the market, they link them with people who have those adequate funds to fund the businesses. Research analysts, well, they basically, they are more concerned with, tracking a particular institution or a stock or a market or an economy based on the requirements of the clients. And based on that, they make suggestions as to whether or not to invest in a particular market, in a sector or a domain. Absolutely. Now, within that also, there are bifurcations of equity research, debt fund research, and stuff like that. But that I believe is food for another session. CFOs, I don't believe that I need to tell you exactly what a CFO is. Financial consultant, okay. So financial consultant is a cross between a financial professional and a consultant. Okay. So essentially, financial consultant does not make financial decisions. They only point you to the right direction regarding the financial decisions. But the call remains with the person within the institution.
Okay.
Now, what do the recruiters usually look for when recruiting people into these domains?
All right.
Now, a typical finance professional, they will be exceptional with numbers, and they need to have attention with details. In fact, recruiters have recruiting processes which are attuned around all of these qualities. They have psychometric tests, they have quantitative and technical interviews which test you on these things: attention to detail, whether you are adaptable enough, whether you are good with numbers. And in fact, they might give you a 10-page case study, and ask you to tell you which is the most relevant portion of that particular case study, just to see that whether you can strike at the heart of the matter within a matter of seconds. So these are the qualities that are essential in a finance professional.
Okay.
Coming to consulting. Now, consultant again can be of various types. There is management consultant, strategy, marketing, brand, and something known as an independent consultant, which is a mix of all the above.
All right.
So what does a consultant do? Essentially, consultant is a generalist. Consultant
Generalist.
usually does not specialize in any domain.
Okay.
They have a working knowledge of each and every domain under the sun and are ready to advise clients based on their requirements. Now, you might say that a company which is in the steel business, they have been doing it for, suppose a company like Tata Steel, they have been doing it, say, for the past 100 years, maybe. I mean, how can a new consulting firm advise them on the steel business, right?
Yeah.
It seems very foolhardy that someone who is just set up a consultant firm for the past 5 years would be advising Tata Steel on a steel business.
Okay.
But the problem is Tata Steel, being in the steel business for so long, developed something known as a myopic vision. They have a prejudicial bias towards the market practices. They know that steel has to be bought from certain players. These are the rates. These should be the terms of agreement. And the business strategies would be revolving around these particular areas. Now, a consultant, the very fact that he or she is not in this particular business for such a long time enables them to have that fresh perspective. They might suggest something which Tata Steel might not even consider.
Okay.
And therefore might actually give them a competitive advantage in the steel sector.
Okay.
So who are these consultant professionals and what do they look like? Usually they have stellar academics, because being at the top of what they do is something very essential for consultants. That is their primary driving factor. As I said, they're generalists and highly adaptable because they cannot be confined to any particular role. And consultants usually operate within a team of 15, 20 or more. I mean, except for independent consultants. I mean, independent consultants are people who have been in the business for a very long time. They have retired, now have set up their own consultancy practices. But they usually operate on a large team. And they're high performers, to say the least. Now, let's come to general management. What is this general management? Now, every company, they have internal management cadres like management trainees, regional managers, circle heads, and stuff like that. And these are basically the pathways to becoming CXO, CEO, CFO, CTOs.
Okay.
Now, while these roles, they are only offered to people who have considerable experience in that particular domain. So after completing an MBA, if you say I want to become a CFO or CTO in steel industry, now as a law grad, you have very little to offer there. So the thing is, you need to start from a very basics. You need to start from the ground level. And general management people do just that. General management people usually start off by leading a team on the shop floor. Their career trajectory is very fast. Like they will be getting promoted within 3-4 months to management trainee, then to a assistant manager, then a regional manager, and things like that. But the thing is, it's very essential they understand the entire in and out of the business. Because because at the end of the day, they will be the ones who will be taking all the policy decisions. So who is a typical general management candidate? Someone who takes initiative, someone who actually thinks how the business can be grown. Suppose you're the zonal manager of, say, Mintra, and you are looking at the north and east zones. Now, what you need to do is you need to constantly understand how Mintra can grow its business in these particular zones. It's not like you go in, you have a target set by your superior, and you just meet the targets, you do the job assigned to you and get out. No. Your job is actually to set the targets and actually get the work done by other people. Because you are in charge of the business. Exactly. So the people with the vision are people who are best suitable for general management. And the last role and domain that I will be talking about is human resource. Now, human resource is something that aligns very closely with a law grad. So the typical roles that are available there are talent management, talent acquisition, HR analytics, and HR consultant. Now, these people, they need to have exemplary interpersonal and soft skills. They need to have brilliant character assessment because they make the hiring decisions. I mean, not the final hiring decision, but the basic screening and shortlisting of candidate is done by the HR department. The final decision
Analyzing.
is usually done by the division heads, but on a base level, they are the ones who are the first points of contact. And they are great mediators. I mean, uh, you talk about salary negotiation, you talk about vacation, you talk about leaves, you talk about perks. HR is the person who you should go to. Now, coming back to my original point, why these four domains are best attuned to law grads. So, finance, law graduates, especially people who actually practice or have an interest in commercial laws or companies laws, they will see that they already have a lot of understanding of the regulatory framework within which financial professions need to operate. So you talk about SEBI regulations, you talk about the Companies Act, you talk about things like the Income Tax Act or the GST Act. Lawyers already have a very good grasp of all these regulatory frameworks. Now, finance professionals, even though they have the liberty to innovate with the various strategies that they bring in, they have to operate within certain boundaries. It's not like that they can, go ahead and, break any framework. Otherwise, we all know what happens. The knowledge of scams are already with the people of India, and we all know what happens.
Within a
Yeah, absolutely. Consultants. Now, as I mentioned earlier during my example, that legal professionals often become myopic in their dealings with the clients. The same problem occurs with consultants as well. So having a law background, you can also help in factor in the various regulatory frameworks within the various strategies, which you will be finally suggesting to your client. So basically you act as a bridge between the business world and the legal world. And the intersection point is so niche that you become, pardon my choice of words, a commodity which is high in demand. I mean, there was no better way to put it.
But that's the truth, right? We all deal with it somewhere,
Absolutely.
in that
Absolutely.
domain.
Absolutely. General management, again, businesses usually prefer not to get into litigation at all. I mean, it's another thing that most of businesses do not have a robust internal legal team in place, which is why most of them end up in courts. But having someone who has an understanding that how various laws and policy frameworks can actually affect your business dealings is something invaluable to businesses, and businesses are actually recognizing this. They want people in senior leadership who have a robust law background, so that the various deals and leaderships and the various boardroom exchanges, the various policies that are put into place, they all have a very robust legal backing. A legal team is of course essential to any business, but someone who can preemptively look forward and take care of this, that okay, this is an agreement which I should probably not enter into because this sounds fishy.
They have
So
that
there's that forecasting sort of a thing.
Intuition,
Yeah,
if I'm
exactly,
right about it.
exactly. So this is something businesses are starting to recognize, and this is something which law grads can actually benefit from if they get an MBA. And HRs, well, one of the top things that HRs need to do day in, day out is dealing with the industrial relations department.
Big time.
And having a thorough understanding of labor laws is invaluable, because most of the sexual harassment disputes, most of the labor disputes are brought to the HRs. They are the first points of contact, as I said. So having a good understanding of them actually helps a company reduce its exposure to various lawsuits again. And of course, it's beneficial for the employees because they are getting someone who actually understands the law better rather than someone who does what is best for the company. So an HR needs to strike a balance. Of course, the HR is loyal to the company, but it also needs to strike a balance between the employee interest and the organizational interest. Now I'll be talking about the three domains which I think are not a very good value additions to a law grad. Now, as I mentioned earlier as well, this is completely my opinion, and I'm not saying that a law grad cannot explore a career in these three domains. What I'm saying is that the chances that a law grad will face a stiffer competition from their engineering counterparts or counterparts from a quantitative background is much higher than the four domains which I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
So, what are these three domains? First is sales and marketing. Now, a typical job of a sales and marketing personnel is to sell the product. Again, pardon me for the oversimplification, but that's the end goal of any sales and marketing department
Absolutely.
of any organization. Now,
Absolutely.
within that, there might be various horizontals like sales, marketing, product, brand, retail, and there's also marketing consultant, which is again a cross between marketing and consultancy. But as a sales personnel, your primary job is to go to the clients and convince them. Now you might say, Amit, lawyers have a huge persuasive skill. I mean, that is something lawyers pride themselves on. So why sales and marketing is not good for them?
Mm.
I'm not saying sales and marketing is not good for lawyers. No, lawyers can thrive in sales and marketing. I'm saying an MBA does not in any way benefit a lawyer in terms of sales and marketing. A lawyer can go and do sales and marketing without an MBA degree. It does not provide you with any huge insights or something extraordinary out of the box.
Okay.
Okay. So, what do these sales and marketing people look like? They are people who have sharp communication skills. They are
Yeah.
very persuasive. They invest more in appearance because no matter how much we shun from this, appearances matter in this profession. And they're master networkers. I can give you an example of my batchmate. He's pursuing MBA currently, and he has a digital marketing startup. So this is my phone, and I have a contact list of 700 in this. That person has a contact list of 5,000. That's the width of network of proper marketer, and they're driven by results. उनको ये सब academics में कोई interest नहीं है. They seldom care about theories and all those Maslow's hierarchy and segmentation, targeting, positioning, 4 P's of marketing. They're least bothered with that. They are like, okay, I have a target.
I have to meet it.
My product needs to reach the customer. It's my job to create that requirement within the customer, and at the end of the day, it's my job to deal profits to the company. As simple as that. And because they are result oriented, 8 out of 10 CEOs in this country currently are sales and marketing people, because they are the people who actually brought in the funds.
Yeah.
IT and analytics. Now, as the name suggests, this particular domain is dominated by people from the engineering background and quantitative backgrounds. In fact, not only IT and analytics, also operations to an extent. I'm not saying that lawyers cannot thrive here. There are ample number of certifications. You can go for Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma training, which is a certification in ops. You can go for Google Analytics. You can go for data science courses in Coursera, Johns Hopkins courses. So basically what I'm saying is that you need to acquire these skill sets outside of your curriculum, because MBA does not give you these skill sets. So I'll explain the difference. In an IT setup, someone who's from an IT background understands the inner workings of that particular organization. So if an IT professional is given the task of managing a team of 40 people, he intuitively knows what roles they are undertaking at the moment, what sort of problems that can be foreseen, what sort of requirements the client has in mind, and he can develop and design his strategy accordingly. But a law professional, the learning curve will be very steep, right? It will be very high for a law professional, because the very thing that he or she is lacking is the domain knowledge. Now, you can do courses and certifications to gain entry into that world, but the time taken to gain that understanding will be much higher than someone from that particular background, which is, according to my humble opinion, this is something which law graduates might not benefit as much as the four domains that I spoke earlier about. Coming to operations, operations is usually the task of managing a company's day-to-day activities. So how much warehouse requirement is there, how much product I need to manufacture, how much products there needs to be with the retailer, what would be my logistic solution, what would be my margin requirement, how much buffer I should keep. All of these calculations and management have to be done by someone who is in the operations domain. Now, these people, they do not prefer the limelight. They mostly work in the back end, and they're more involved in the ground level. And like marketeers, they are also result oriented. So sales and marketing people, they often work in tandem with operations people. Agar product warehouse mein nahi hai, there's no way sales and marketing people can go and sell it to the client. So there has to be a very good sync between sales and marketing and operations people.
Okay.
So these, according to me, are the roles which do not benefit law grads, and the previously four ones are the ones which, according to me, benefit law grads. Now, coming to the preparation strategy.
Okay.
Now, what is the preparation strategy that a law grad can benefit from? And what was my strategy? I will go through the entire thing in detail.
Your individual.
So my CAT strategy was to focus more on VARC, because I'll be very frank, I was working at that point of time. I used to leave for office at 9 a.m. in the morning, and I have, on an average, I used to return at around 10 to 11. So I used to have very little time to prepare. So I did sort of a SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is nothing but looking at your strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. It's a very basic tool in strategy, which is taught in MBA. What I do, in fact, I did not even know the term SWOT analysis at that point of time. I just basically thought, what am I good at? What am I not good at?
Okay.
And what I understood was, because I was accustomed with handling a large volume of documentation on a day-to-day basis, I was making arguments before a court of law. I was drafting pleadings. I was, dealing with appendixes, evidences on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
So VRC was something which would just require practice and not much of learnings.
Okay.
So from day one, my preparation period was limited to 4 to 5 months, I believe. I started preparing in July, and the examination was in last week of November.
Okay.
So 4 to 5 months was my preparation, and from day one, VRC is nothing but verbal ability and reading comprehension. Sorry for not mentioning that earlier. So my strategy was to solve mock tests at least one every day.
Every day.
So in terms of VRC, what I did was I used to sit for a 30-minute mock test every single day. And I used to keep track of that on an Excel sheet or anything. I mean, I used to see whether my curve is going uphill or downhill.
Your personal
Because
evaluation.
if my curve went downhill, it means that either I'm getting more overconfident, or the paper which I attempted was a bit difficult, or there are certain things which I'm lagging. If it was the first thing, that I was becoming overconfident, what I would do is I would solve 2 instead of 1 paper, just to see that whether it's really overconfidence.
Where do you
If the curve went downwards, and I understood that the paper was a bit difficult, then I tried to understand what would be the optimum time for me to solve that particular paper, because the time allocated in CAT at that point of time was 60 minutes for each of the sections. And thirdly, if I could understand that there was something new that I could not understand, there was a shift in the pattern, or maybe the difficulty rose by a marginal thread, or there was a hybrid of both, then I reattempted the paper again without a time frame, and I tried to understand that what would be that particular sweet spot. Because I still remember in November when I went for my CAT finals, or the D-Day as CAT aspirants call it, I went with a target of 45 minutes, that my paper should be finished within 45 minutes. And my paper was actually finished within 38 minutes. So I had 22 minutes to
Pretty
just recheck
commendable.
and stuff. Yeah. So that's actually just practice. And any law grad, I can guarantee you, if they just practice VARC for 4 months at a stretch, getting a 99 percentile in VARC is just a piece of cake. My percentile was 99.5, and I completely attribute it to the regularity of my mock tests.
So the practice is the key here. You have to be
Absolutely.
consistent with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you will leave it for the last moment.
Yeah.
You might not have to learn anything new, but the point is that this is
Keep
not,
repeating it.
yeah,
The
it's
pattern.
not, and it's not a test of knowledge. It's a test
Yeah.
of speed and accuracy, as I have
Yeah,
mentioned.
exactly.
CAT does not test you that whether you know something or not. CAT tests
Not
you on the fact that jitna aapko aata hai, whatever you know, whether you can answer it within the time I am giving you.
exactly. That's very correct.
Yeah. And coming to, there are two more sections, DILR and QA. So DILR is nothing but data interpretation and logical reasoning, and QA
Okay.
stands for quantitative aptitude.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a question that comes recurringly to me. A lot of my juniors have reached out to me saying that uh, how do I, compete with engineers when it comes to quantitative aptitude or the DILR?
Yeah.
My answer to them would be that engineers might have a quantitative background, but they have to struggle as much as you when it comes to VARC. So securing VARC is
Very
the
true.
first step. And secondly, you have to master either DILR or quantitative aptitude.
So pick your area and then work on it very well.
Exactly. Because see, you have to be very smart about it.
What
you
you're good
can
at.
you can you can aim for 99 percentile, right? Now
Yeah.
for that you require a thorough understanding of all the three sections, a thorough competence in all the three sections, and a thorough confidence in all the three sections.
Confidence is the key
Problem
here.
is this: competence is something that most of us lack in all the three sections. At the most we have it in two. Now, my suggestion would be quantitative aptitude in CAT is of class 10 level. And that is something anyone with a law background, they have appeared for CLAT. I'm assuming this much. So if someone has appeared for the common law admission test, they know what class 10 mathematics looks like. And trust me, common admission test quant paper is not very different. The volume might be different, the difficulty might be a notch higher, but at the end of the day, it's class 10 mathematics. It's not like you are asked to solve a second order differential equation or, a very high level coordinate geometry. No,
Okay.
it's essentially profit and loss, time and distance, all the basic arithmetic that we did put on a bit difficult level. So if we get comfortable in either QA or VARC, then the next step would be just getting the qualifying marks in DILR. Because at the end of the day, your target is to get a call. Call आपको 95 percentile में भी आएगा, 99 में भी आएगा, 98 में भी आएगा. I'll
Maybe
explain
yeah.
that in a few minutes. So my distribution, if you ask, it was VRC 99.5, QA was above 95, DILR was in the 80s. And still I got a call from 12 IIMs. How did I do that? Now every year Times of India publishes puff pieces saying that 100 percentilers in CAT did not receive calls from IIM Calcutta.
Okay.
Now there is a lot of truth into this, because CAT is only part of the process, which people fail to understand. It's not like your IIT JEE or any XYZ mock exam that you go for an entrance exam, you score well, you get a rank, you get admission. No. Your CAT percentile contributes only 20 to 30% of the admission process. The rest 70% is dominated by the group discussion and the personal interview. Now, you might ask, Amit, what is this call based on? All the IIMs have different requirements, and some IIMs don't even disclose it.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm from IIM Shillong, I can tell you IIM Shillong usually does a balance of score-based and profile-based call. So score-based call is they set a threshold of above, say, 95 percentile. And they are like, we'll only call people who have scored above 95 percentile.
Okay.
Within that, because 95 percentile, some people above 95 percentile are 5% of the entire population who are set for CAT, which is roughly around 10,000.
Okay.
Within those 10,000, what they do is they give a profile based call. And this is where your CV comes into play. So what do they look at in CV? They look for academics, your work experience if you have. If you're a fresher, that component does not count. They look at the projects that you have done, preferably live projects, if any, your various certifications, your internships, all of them are taken into account, and there is a component attached to each and every single one of them. Right?
Okay.
After this, when you finally get the call, you are supposed to go for a group discussion. Now, someone from a law background, if they are asked to go for a group discussion, whether you have to, discuss a particular case study or a given topic or a current affairs module with 7 or 8 other participants, I am assuming someone from a law background should ace that particular activity.
Okay.
For the simple reason, lawyers are by nature very abreast with current affairs. And secondly, they know how to speak. So one must know how to use these two components to their advantage.
Okay.
So the GD process, it's sorted. Now let's come to the PI. The personal interview, you are mostly grilled from your background and the work experience that you did. So in my case, my interview felt more like a judiciary interview rather than an MBA interview. My first question was, how many types of bails are there? And what is a will, what is a probate, then followed by a case study on execution of a will.
In your GD?
Yeah, no, not the GD, the personal interview. Okay. And it went on like this. Okay. So 15 minutes, it went on like this, various provisions of law, which article dealt with freedom of expression. What was my take on Amazon Prime's ban on, Netflix's ban on certain shows and movies. Then it suddenly shifted to current affairs and my work experience. And I think there was only one question on my work experience regarding insolvency and bankruptcy code. And mostly it, revolved around the NRC bill, the migration of workers, the Rohingya Muslims and stuff like that. Okay. So my point is, all of these are areas where a person from law background can actually capitalize upon. This is not something rocket science for us. We deal with daily news on a day-to-day basis. We follow parliamentary affairs. We follow the various legal enactments. We follow the political scenario of the country better than half the graduates of the country, according to me. So someone with this background is naturally attuned to this.
Natural instinct.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now what I would like to say, it's never too late to build a stellar CV. So suppose you're in college and you are like, ki mera CGPA bahut low hai. This might be too late to start preparing right now. It's never too late. Because your CV can be improved. CAT only requires, most of the colleges require a basic threshold of 60% only. Okay. So it's not like they require you a very high threshold to get a call in the personal interview. And 30 seconds is all you get to impress. I mean, it's just not in the personal interview I'm talking about. Before the call is made, they go through your CVs and they only look at the CV for 30 seconds. Okay. And within that, you have to structure your CV in such a manner that they're impressed. So coming to the strategy in a nutshell, my strategy was focus on 2 areas of strength rather than all 3. Be regular with mock tests and do regular self-assessments. Be very good with speed and accuracy and don't focus on solving all of them. Like out of the 90 questions that are given to CAT aspirants, 90 or 100, depending upon which year it is, the questions that are given to CAT aspirants, my target would be to solve only 50 to 60 with 100% accuracy. So someone who is solving 90 with a 80% accuracy and someone who is solving 60 with 100% accuracy, the second would be better because there is negative marking involved in CAT.
Because he's clear about what he's doing.
Absolutely. Right. And there is negative marking, right? So you're not only losing out on the marks you're not getting,
time
plus the negative and the time. And lastly, get your CV in order. So if you have a very clear-cut strategy built on these lines, I think CAT should not be very difficult to crack from someone from a legal background. So Yeah, that would be all from my end at this point. If you
Okay.
have any questions or comments or anything,
We
I
do
would be
have a
happy
lot
to.
of questions, Amit. We do have a lot
Yeah,
of questions. The session has been
absolutely.
really interactive. I must congratulate you for that, for saving us time and coming at a short notice. Now,
Thank you
before we
so
open the
much.
floor for questions, I have a few requests, I have a few announcements to make. So we have an upcoming webinar at 9 p.m. today with respect to IPR. The details of which I will be posting it in the chat box. Anyone who is associated with IPR, wish to know more about it, want to get involved, we have WhatsApp groups and everything. So I'll be posting the details on the group. Anyone who has an interest towards inclination, looking for any kind of guidance, can follow that thing. Now, Amit, since we have a floor for questions, so let me just go through it, and I'll spell it out for you one by one, since we have a quite a this thing. One second, I'm so sorry. Mm, where can I? Yeah, just one second. So yeah, Amit, we do have a floor for panel. I'll start with questions here. So the first question here is, kindly highlight some ways to build profile as a fresher. Are legal internships can be beneficial, and what kind of internship should one do?
All right. So internships are definitely beneficial when it comes to preparation for MBA.
Mm-hmm.
So in the MBA world, internships are known as industry interface.
Okay.
So that's proof that you have some, you know, understanding of what the industry actually looks like rather than bookish knowledge.
Okay.
So when you do an internship, it automatically gives the recruiter or the interviewer
Mm-hmm.
basically a point to
Okay.
strike a conversation with you, and it can be a very good icebreaker.
Okay.
So obviously legal internships are definitely beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
My advice would be, if you can secure legal internships in a PSU or any companies in the legal team of a company,
Mm-hmm.
uh, vis-a-vis MBA, that would be very beneficial for the simple reason you can simultaneously showcase your exposure to the legal world as well as the business world in that case.
Okay.
So
All
yeah,
right.
and when it comes to building a profile for a fresher, as I said, doing live projects during your undergraduate days, they really help. Focus on publications and participate in a lot of college activities, because positions of responsibilities are also viewed very valuably when it comes
Okay.
to MBA admissions.
Okay, all right. So the next question is by Gaurav. Gaurav says that having completed his law in 2017, there's a huge gap after the law. Will doing MBA really benefit in corporate now?
Uh, Gaurav, before I take that question, I would just like to speak about a batchmate of mine. He's an IITian, and he had a gap of 4 years before he joined IIM Shillong.
Okay,
And during these 4 years, he was preparing for UPSC. And he did not have a problem securing any internships. And I'm sure come the placement season, uh, he will be placed as lucratively with all of us.
okay,
So you can really understand that as long as you can justify that particular gap with something that you had been doing, there is really no problem in the MBA world.
okay.
The only thing is you should be able to justify why you took that gap and whether that gap helped you or not. It might be that you wanted to try out something, you wanted to follow your interest, you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to follow a particular internship. Maybe it worked out, maybe it did not, maybe you changed your mind. All
Okay.
of these have to be backed by robust reasons.
Mm-hmm.
you have to be convincing enough for the panel, and that's it.
Okay, all right. So the next question is by Ankit Raturi. What range of percentile for a law student is required for good IIMs and other major B school? Also, if you can share, I think Amit already shared his percentile, Ankit. So yeah, Ankit's question is that what range of percentile for a law student is required for good IIMs?
Yeah. So there is no strict percentile there for law students per se.
Mm-hmm.
However, I can say that usually law students have a better chance of getting a call even if their percentile is a bit lower than engineering counterparts. So
Okay.
if the cutoff for, say, again, these are ballpark figures,
Mm-hmm.
there is no official justification for this, but as per my estimation, if an engineering grad gets a call for a percentile around 99,
Mm-hmm.
law grad has a decent chance of getting a call of, say, around 92 to 93, provided they tick all the other boxes. Now this is entirely subjective based on your CV, based on your profile, because as I said, IIMs mostly give a profile based call. It's not like you cut off a particular threshold and you get a call. And my percentile was commensurate with most of the engineers on my batch, so
Mm-hmm.
uh, I really don't know whether mine was a profile based call or a score based call. But usually, in terms of profile based call, lawyers do have an advantage over engineers or other quantitative background.
Okay, all right. So the next question is by Sanchita. She's my colleague also. Strategizing a successful startup can be a tough call for a lawyer without MBA. Is that so, Hamid?
Uh, it all depends on what you are trying to gain out of that particular startup. If you're trying to, uh, uh, and an NGO is also a startup.
Okay,
A legal aid clinic is also a startup. Now,
okay.
legal aid clinics and NGOs, they usually don't work for profits. They
Mm-hmm.
usually, their main focus is towards helping people or towards a particular vision.
Okay,
Now, at that point of time, MBA will not do much value addition, because MBA usually, uh, how do I put it? MBA usually enables you to manage the business. And as I said, the sole reason for existence of a business is to generate
completely
profits.
profit oriented, completely profit
Exactly.
oriented.
So until and unless you're looking to make profits, MBA would be of little value. If you're
Okay.
looking to make profits, then of course MBA would uh, be a huge value addition. I won't say it's impossible without an MBA, but
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely going to be difficult, because as a lawyer, expecting someone to be well versed with concepts like business cycles, cash flow,
Okay.
understanding all the aspects of a balance sheet, doing valuation, estimating your growth rates and stuff, this can be a bit difficult. And of course, banks usually are more keen on, giving loans to people who have a better understanding of business, and this you can actually exhibit by your business knowledge rather than speaking legalese to a banker.
Okay, all right. So, Amit, the next question here is by yeah, you can do I think MBA just after graduation. So, if a person wants to have a career in finance, does he need to do mandatorily do a professional course such as CFA or to get a top job?
Okay, so I think this question is a bit
Sub-
ambiguous, because I don't
yeah,
understand what you mean by a top job.
yeah. This is quite a subjective
But
question.
yeah, but I would like, I would try and answer this.
Mm-hmm.
So my batch comprises of a healthy number of both CAs and CFAs.
Okay.
And does it help in getting top finance jobs? Like, I am assuming you mean investment banking or things like hedge fund manager or private equity venture capital.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, does it help in getting a role? It helps in getting an interview.
Okay.
It does. It's not like you have a CA or CFA, your job is confirmed. What it does is it gives you a shortlet for an interview. But
Mm-hmm.
then I was also shortlisted for Goldman Sachs. I did my summer internship from there, which is the top investment bank in the world. So it's not like not having a CFA or CA will deter you in any
Mm-hmm.
manner. It's
Okay.
just that you need to showcase your affinity towards that particular domain,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to show them that you're willing to learn, and
Okay.
that's it.
There should be the attitude of learning which keeps you moving forward.
Absolutely,
Basically, the end goal
absolutely.
here is that. We should be clear about that. Okay. So the next question is how to get live projects in finance domain.
Okay, that is a very good question.
Yeah.
So, in terms of live projects, I would suggest going to websites like Dare to Compete.
Mm-hmm.
Dare to Compete is a very good
I'll
platform
mention
where,
it. I'll mention
yeah,
it in the chat also so that people don't miss the chance.
yeah,
The website here you are mentioning is
daretocompete.com.
dare to DAR 2 in the numeral.
DARE, two in numericals, and
Uh-huh.
compete.
Okay. Dare to compete.com.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the
So
people.
what it's usually colloquially referred to as D2C. So
Mm-hmm.
what D2C does is it's a combined platform for various competitions, both undergrad and B school competitions.
Okay.
It provides you with internship opportunities. It provides you with life projects as well.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who wants to do life projects at an undergraduate level,
Okay.
D2C is a very good place to start.
Okay.
And another way would be build your LinkedIn profile
Mm-hmm.
and make it known that you're looking for live projects, and try connecting with people who are practicing professionals in that particular domain. At the end of the day, it's all about networking and
Networking.
getting to know whether when live projects become available.
Okay. All right. So the next question is by Ganesh Kumar. He has two questions. If is MBA worth it for the person with LLB and CS? Is the college really that important for MBA? Are there any other colleges worth a person's time other than IIM? Like example, he has suggested according to him is Delhi University.
Okay, so for the first question, if MBA is worth it for a person with LLB or CS, uh, it all depends on what you want to do with that particular degree. I mean, the career options available to someone with LLB and CS and someone
Mm-hmm.
with MBA and LLB and CS
Mm-hmm.
are drastically different.
Okay.
MBA is usually pursued by people who have an aspiration to get into senior management roles at this point of time.
Okay.
Now, you might say none of the companies that I see
Mm-hmm.
uh, have a lot of MBAs in the senior management positions.
Okay.
There's something you need to understand is that uh, at that point of time when these people were joining the company, MBA was not a very prevalent course.
Absolutely.
MBA as a course came into vogue in maybe the 90s or maybe late 80s or early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So, expecting senior management people to have MBA at that point of time
Mm-hmm.
would probably be a bit unrealistic.
Okay.
But at the same time, if we are talking about the future of MBA, I can bet my money on the fact that all the senior leaders in the companies would be MBAs from here and now on. So, not doing an MBA and deciding to stick with LLB and CS would probably not be wise if someone is aiming for the senior
Okay.
leadership role.
Okay. All right. So it's all about what you're aiming for that plays the part here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next question, Amit, here is that you mentioned Dare to Compete is a website, but would one get shortlisted as a law graduate? The question here is that.
Okay, so if you go to Dare to Compete and you explore the site a bit, on the left
Mm-hmm.
side you will see there will be a lot of filters, and one filter would be just an undergraduate.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put on that filter, you can automatically see opportunities which are available to undergraduates irrespective of their domains. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I agree that on Dare to Compete, there are opportunities which are offered exclusively to B schools and engineering colleges,
Okay.
but there are ample number of opportunities which are also offered to general people from other domains as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a you just need to search a bit differently and using the filters that are given on the site, and you should be
Mm-hmm.
good to go.
Okay, okay. All right. So the next question is, I think I'm not sorry, Shadia Vaishali. She has done her law, LLM in corporate law, and MBA in finance HR from Dehradun. Now she is aiming towards how to apply for jobs for online consultancy.
All right. So I really did not understand what you meant by online consultancy, but
I think given the current scenario, Amit, like we
all
all are
right.
having our online work,
Got
that's
it,
what
got
she
it,
meant.
got it, got it. So, the first thing that I would suggest would be building a solid LinkedIn profile,
Mm-hmm.
because MBAs usually are very active on LinkedIn,
Okay.
and so are their potential recruiters.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest leverage the full extent of LinkedIn to your
Mm-hmm.
advantage. Put your CVs there,
Okay.
put your certifications, anything which you might have achieved there, just to
Okay.
gain visibility among recruiters. And LinkedIn would be a very good starting point. Apart from that, I would suggest you start networking with people from similar domains. Now, a lot of you might have heard for things like BNI initiatives, which is Business Network International.
Yeah.
Now, BNI is something which is operated on a large scale and might not be financially viable for someone who has freshly graduated, but there are
Mm-hmm.
similar networks which operate in all the cities,
Mm-hmm.
and networking activities in those have often provided fruitful results to a lot of people post their MBA.
Okay.
So again, it's all about how you reach out and how you make yourself visible, because at the end of the day, in order to recruit you, the recruiters need to know that you are there, and they
Okay.
need to they need to know that you will provide significant value addition to them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay, all right. Another question again by Vaishali. Is MBA from distance learning valuable? Like Symbiosis is offering distance learning. What sort of life projects should be done for a lawyer and an aspiring MBA?
Okay. uh, so when it comes to distance MBA, I am
Mm-hmm.
not the very good person to comment on that, uh, because uh, my knowledge is completely limited to full-time MBAs.
Okay.
However, uh, given that Symbiosis is a very good brand,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think it's worth exploring. But I really don't think that it can be a substitute for a full-time MBA. This is again my personal opinion, because
Mm-hmm.
I have very limited knowledge when it comes to distant MBAs. So yeah.
Okay, all right. So another question is, Amit, which IIMs have diversity factor and which IIMs are more likely to favor a law professional? He has heard or she has heard that IIM Ahmedabad gives calls to top 50 of each domain. So how would you like to take that question?
Right. So when it comes to diversity factor, I think the most diverse IIM in
Mm-hmm.
2019-21 was IIM Shillong. I
Okay.
mean, not to brag, but our batch was the most diverse set of MBA grads
Mm-hmm.
uh, in that particular year.
Okay.
So when it comes to lying a heavy emphasis on diversity,
Mm-hmm.
IIM Shillong is definitely a forerunner.
Okay.
Now, apart from this, if you talk about IIM Ahmedabad's practice
Mm-hmm.
of giving a calls to top 50 performers, yes, it does. It openly advertises that fact.
Mm-hmm.
However, it does not reveal what is the criteria to achieve, assess that particular top 50 performers. So
Okay.
again, I might not be the best person to comment on that, since it's an internal matter of IIM Ahmedabad. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's true. IIM Ahmedabad does claim that it gives calls to the top 50 performers from each domain.
Okay.
And secondly, I'm sorry, I missed the second part of the question. If you could.
One second, one second. I'll just spell it out. So sorry. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Um, yeah. So the second question was, yeah, that same only, Amit. Which IIMs have diversity factor more likely to favor a law professional? Then the second was, IIM Ahmedabad gets calls to top 50 of each domain. So I think you answered both of them.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So should I spell out again or
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Which IIMs have diversity factor? Which IIMs are more likely to favor a law professional, lawyers in particular? He has heard IIM Ahmedabad gives calls to top 50 of
Right,
each
right, right.
domain.
So I missed out the second part. So
Yeah.
there is no such thing as IIMs giving favorable calls to law professionals.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like just because you're a law professional you will get a call from an IIM. There is no
Mm-hmm.
such concept.
Okay.
Your concept, as I mentioned earlier as well, is based completely upon your CV and your profile.
Mm-hmm.
And as a lawyer, if you tick all the boxes, you might have a certain advantage over your engineering or quantitative counterparts,
Okay.
but your advantage is limited to that only. There's nothing like just because you're from a law background,
Mm-hmm.
you will be given a preferential treatment by any B school. It does not work like that.
Okay. All right. So the next question here is by Gaurav again. Having completed his law in 2017 with no corporate experience, will it be right to take a year back for preparing CAT only?
Hey Gaurav, it depends on your confidence, buddy. I mean, if you think that taking a year back you can successfully
Hmm.
manage to crack cat, I would suggest go for it. But if you would like to keep a backup plan, I mean, I would have kept a backup plan, because I'm not very fond of keep putting all my eggs in one basket. So
Yeah.
it all depends on the risk appetite of the person. If you think your
Okay.
risk appetite permits that,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you can go for it. If you
Okay.
ask me personally, I probably would not have.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think only you will understand this question, Amit. The question is posted like, is 998 profile good enough for IM Shillong? Now, I do not know
Right,
what that
right,
means,
right,
so you
right,
might
right,
get it.
right,
I'm not
right.
sure of that.
So, in the MBA world,
Mm-hmm.
your 10th, 12th,
Mm-hmm.
and UG
Okay.
marks are bifurcated and represented in that manner. So 9 means 90% and above in class 10. The
Mm-hmm.
second 9 represents 90% and above in class 12.
Okay.
And 8 means 80% and above in your undergraduate.
Okay. All right.
The question is basically if 998 profile is good enough for IIM Shillong.
Okay.
So as I said, your marks are not the only criteria that an IIM takes into account. Your extracurricular activities, your social initiatives, your
Mm-hmm.
projects, your internships, each and everything is looked
Everything.
into.
Everything plays a role here.
So, making an estimation just based on a 998 profile
Mm-hmm.
is certainly not possible. I mean, there is a very complex formula that Amshilong follows. If you go to the
Mm-hmm.
Amshilong website, you can find that. It's posted there for public view. There is a complex mathematical formula. You can try and calculate each component for yourself, and you can compare it with last year's cutoff marks, which you can find in any forums like Pagal Guy or any other B school discussions forum, and
Pagal
compare
guy.
it with
This is
that.
a
Yeah,
forum, right?
yeah. Pagal Guy is a forum for B school aspirants.
Okay. All right. I should mention it here for people wanting to. Okay. All right. So the next question, Amit, here we have is by Vaishali again, who says that what sort of life projects should be done for a lawyer and aspiring MBA? Yeah, that's the yeah the last question for her. So
Right.
yeah.
So it all depends on what sort of work you want to do post your MBA, Vaishali. So suppose you want to specialize in HR. It
Mm-hmm.
really makes more sense if you do live projects from a similar domain, like you go for a live project with an NGO who are dealing with HR issues or labor issues and things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Okay.
Suppose you want to go for consultancies and maybe finance or
Mm-hmm.
general management, then it makes sense to go for PSUs or financial sector banks or things like that. So it depends on the nature of work that you want to do.
Okay.
uh, the domains that I mentioned earlier, keep those in mind while
Mm-hmm.
selecting the life project, and
Okay.
synergize them with your law degree. That
Okay.
would be
All
my
right.
advice.
So the next question is from Law Life. Does law experience count in fetching job internships after doing MBA? He mean is it only MBA degree which get us job in finance, HR consulting firm, or law degree also hold any kind of weightage? So also they have seen that it's not usual to do MBA after LLB LLM. After MBA, do we get legal role in management finance only based on MBA focus? I think Amit, you answered that in your the presentation that you have.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so yeah. I think the question is regarding like, does law degree play a role in getting MBA finance roles, consulting roles, which you
Great.
are answered, or
Yeah.
like, once again can address it if possible.
So, my answer to that would be the same. I mean, see, the law degree, it does not get you a job by merit of its own, because whatever jobs you could have got with your law degree, you could have gotten them before your MBA,
Okay.
and otherwise you would not have come for an MBA, right? So the
Yeah.
sole purpose of doing an MBA is to increase your credibility or supposed brand value within your
Hmm.
recruiters.
Okay.
Now, coming to the point of whether it helps in securing internships or not, whether it
Okay.
helps, absolutely. So, if I
Mm-hmm.
were to talk about my interview experience, it revolved a fair share about my stint as an insolvency and bankruptcy practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my internship experience that I'm talking about, not the admissions.
Okay.
So my interview with Goldman Sachs, a chunk of it was revolving around my work experience as well, and
Mm-hmm.
whether I was able to link my work experience with that of capital markets.
Mm-hmm.
So it all depends on how relevant you think your work experience is to the role you're aiming for, and whether you can
Okay.
justify it to the potential recruiter.
Okay. All right. So the next question is, how far is an NLU tag beneficial in an MBA interview and in company interviews after MBA?
Uh, okay,
Perspective.
so yeah, I get it. So there is a thing such as IIT and IIM tag. That combination is considered the holy grail within the MBA world. I will not lie. Uh, I would like to believe NLU and IIM tag is on the same footing, but the problem is we don't have the same visibility as IITs as of yet, because not a lot of people from our background actually go into pursuing an
To
MBA.
management. It's still a
So
very noble.
again, if you ask for my opinion, if the visibility increases, if since more and more people are now coming into MBA from
Mm-hmm.
law background, and by the way, a lot of people are coming. Someone mentioned that it's not very common to see people from LLB going into MBA.
Yeah.
My batch comprises of three lawyers, including myself.
Yeah. I think from our
So
alma mater only people have gone to management.
absolutely, absolutely.
Quite
So,
a bit then.
with time, as people would gradually join this particular profession and domain, I think this will be a tag at par, if not more valuable than an IITIM tag.
Okay, all right. So I think I would like to conclude just by like adding to your answer that anything which is new, I think will look unusual until it's done. So I think it will take good amount of time and efforts for that trend to become normal, so that people start pursuing it. So I think it will take more amount of people like you, or like other people like other batchmates like us, to who took a rather unusual route to nurture their intellect. So I think it's all about in which way you are nurturing your intellect in, if I'm right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next question is, can we drag the interview towards a particular area of law in which we are interested, or do the interviewers ask questions according to their area of knowledge, as they necessarily aren't law experts? Should I
Uh,
read it again?
no, this is fine. I mean, that's very subjective actually, because
Mm-hmm.
it all depends on the interviewer. There is something known as a stress interview, and there is something known as a candid interview. So if it's a
Yeah.
candid interview, then maybe you would be permitted to deviate from the topic and maybe drive that particular interview into the direction of your choice.
Mm-hmm.
In a stress interview, you are confined within a very hard and fast boundary, so you are not
Okay.
allowed to deviate from the topic at all. So the question that has been asked, you need to
Mm-hmm.
answer that, or you just need to say that I don't know.
Okay.
You cannot faff around the particular topic, you cannot digress, you cannot you know uh, put in unnecessary details that will actually
Need to
work
be
to
on the
your
point.
disadvantage. Yeah, you need to be at your point.
Okay. I think this is the last question, if I'm right. Does having a BBLLB degree in sales and marketing, if they do MBA in marketing, I am not getting where is this question is, because how come a BBA? Okay. I think the question is having a BBA LLB helps in sales and marketing if they do MBA in marketing. These are two different
Okay.
domains, I think, which you addressed.
Okay. So I have a batchmate who's a BBA in marketing, and he wants to pursue a career in MBA, in sales and marketing only. Uh, so I guess having a BBA makes you naturally attuned towards that particular domain. But then my advice would be, don't let that deter you. I mean, you might think that because you have an undergraduate background from that particular domain, you should play it safe and go for MBA in marketing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, having a diverse set of things, so for example, if you have a BBA in marketing, you
Mm-hmm.
can perhaps explore an MBA in something different, maybe an MBA in HR or sustainability, just to spice thing up, so that
Mm-hmm.
you have a lot to offer when a potential recruiter comes knocking.
Okay, all right. I think this is the last question we have. What about summer internship? How to get shortlist as a fresher?
I mean, I do not understand that question, because the placement
Okay,
process is usually handled by the placement committee
okay.
of your particular batch.
Mm-hmm.
I I'm assuming you're talking about life post admission to a B school.
I think
So
that's what he meant.
yeah, so it all depends on the requirements of the recruiter. Your CV is floated to the recruiter, and they
Mm-hmm.
decide whether they have a requirement of a particular candidate from that profile, because you need to understand the window given to a person for getting shortlisted for summer internships is very low. Like,
Okay.
you join B school in the month of June and July, and usually the placement season, it begins somewhere around October, November, December, depending upon the B school.
Mm-hmm.
So post Diwali and pre Christmas usually is the placement season for majority of B schools across the country.
Okay. All
So
right. Mm-hmm.
you don't have a lot of time to prepare for summer internships at that point of time. At that point of time, it's what you have on your CV. That's all that counts.
Okay. All
So
right.
there's not much that you can do. It depends on the recruiter.
Okay, okay. All right. Okay. I think any more questions are there if like so couple of people raised their hands. I'm not remembering. I think Ganesh or Gaurav. I'm allowing them to talk in the webinar. If you have any questions, guys, please you can speak. Like just if I have missed something, Amit is there to answer. So I'll allow Gautam to talk here. Yeah, Gautam, you can speak now.
Yeah, hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, Gautam, you're audible. Speak, please.
I asked the summer internship question actually. So what I
Okay.
meant was before MBA, what things like he mentioned about live projects and everything. So
Yeah, yeah.
uh, do we need to do the same things in order to like build our profile for the summer internship, or do we need to do something different?
Absolutely, absolutely. The process remains the same for both admissions to MBA and summer internships, because you need to understand admissions to MBA and summer internships. The window between them is not very huge. It's only a difference of 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
So within 4 to 5 months, you don't have a lot of things that you can add to your CV. So whatever you're doing for your CAT will actually help you for your summer internships as well. And recruiters know that most of people who are especially freshers, they don't have any live experience, so they make adjustment to their recruitment processes accordingly.
Okay. All right.
So can I ask a follow-up question?
हाँ sure
Absolutely.
Gautam please.
Sure.
Yeah. As it is a competitive exam, CAT is a competitive exam, so we need to have a backup. So, right now, if I'm focusing on building my profile for a law job, let's say, so will that benefit in the stint, like after MBA or
I mean,
after MBA or after the shortlist by IM?
is your question that after MBA, if you want to go back to the legal domain?
No, no. My knowledge and my like publications and everything. I'm a fresher, so will that
Yeah.
help in the B school, let's say, or
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the crux of B school interview is to see whether you are good at what you are already doing, because business related things, they are there to teach you. The entire curriculum is there to teach you about business process, finance, operations, marketing, and all the entire curriculum. They just need to be sure that whatever you do, whether you give it your 100% or not, or whether you have that attitude. The interview process is set in place just to check that. So suppose you're from the law background and you have performed stellar in your academics or in the internship front, or you have got very good publications. So that's an indicator that because law was your domain, you chose to excel and thrive there. And so that gives them an assurance that if admitted, you would do the same in the business domain as well.
Okay. All right. So Gautam, any more questions or should I move to another person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Gautam. Okay. So Shivendra is there. Shivendra, you can speak.
Yeah, yeah, hi. Yeah,
Hi.
my question is, I have done MBA as well as LLB, and I am presently working in Genpact, Noida, in contract management profile.
Okay.
And I want to join law firms, especially
Mm-hmm.
for mergers and acquisitions. So
Yes.
is it
Okay.
means my question is, how can I get there? I mean, I have done MBA also and LLB also. I'm pursuing LLM.
Mm-hmm.
How my both dual qualification will help me for going to mergers and acquisitions, and means how can I go for it?
Okay,
Okay.
so the usual path followed by MBAs, as I mentioned earlier, is being very active on LinkedIn. I would suggest start following partners of these top law firms, and let them know that you are interested in a role like that, and start writing bits and pieces. I mean, start with short articles. Try getting published from any major publications like newspapers or magazine or things like that. Start with a blog maybe, or and then move up, get journal publications on that topic. See, at the end of the day, what really counts is your domain expertise.
Okay.
And these firms really need to know that you know what you're talking about. When you say you want to be a merger and acquisitions professional, you should be well versed with the happenings in that particular domain. So the landmark judgments, the various regulatory enactments, the various major news that was published in the past 6 months regarding M&A, all
Mm-hmm.
of these you need to be very well versed with. And
Clear.
uh, you need to let them know that you are actually uh, very passionate about M&A and you constantly track that particular sector. So that is
Okay.
something
Okay.
these firms usually look for.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Any more questions, Shivendra?
Mm, and what? Yeah, one. My last question.
Mm-hmm.
What other
Okay.
areas do I need to means apart from mergers and acquisition? What other areas do I need to work for? Means other areas that are suitable for me.
I mean, that I think I already
He
mentioned
addressed
in
it
my
in his
presentation. Yeah.
presentation. Like, he addressed categorically about the roles that are available and like, why they are suitable. And he spoke about the relevance. Amit, would the PPT would be available if it's okay with
Yeah,
you?
sure, 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 sure.
Yeah. So you can just mail me. I can share it with the, like, people if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I'll mail it after the webinar.
Yeah, sure, you can.
Sure.
So Shivendra, you can see like he has categorically, like, explained the relevance of different roles, and he has also in length, like, talked about why these roles are beneficial for different, like, law aspirants, what is the relevance, and post this also the recording will be available. Also, I would like to tell you all that the session is now live on YouTube also, and post this
Okay.
also the webinar would be available. So anyone who has missed out on anything can access the like, the webinar post the session. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions, guys? Anything that you want to ask, because we are about to close the session? Okay, I think we are done here. Amit, thank you so much for, like, addressing such an important topic. I think it was really, really helpful. Thank you for agreeing to it, to host it, like, the last minute. So Yeah, thank you. And we are like, looking forward to have you again. So I hope this continues. Okay.
Pleasure.
For all of you, please look out for like, the 9 p.m. webinar. It will be there. Please look out for all the webinars that we will be conducting. Hope to see you all. Okay. Have a great day. Thank you, Amit.